Return of the Jedi is a flawed movie. In the original trilogy, it is my least favorite. Am I hypercritical of the film for outkicking its coverage? Asked another way, am I faulting Return of the Jedi for its lofty ambitions? It was too far ahead of its time. George Lucas couldn't execute his vision for all his ingenuity. That said, I still love the film. Allow me to compliment and condemn 40 years after Jedi's premiere. Welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. Return of the Jedi was unusual because it contained two distinct narratives. A main plot is typically composed of subplots that intertwine at its climax. Not so for Episode 6. Han's rescue was a complete arc. Likewise, the Rebels' victory. Often, I've watched one half without watching the other half. Furthermore, the Rebels' victory was really three separate threads. Two depended on one, but three didn't intersect with one or two. Confused? The space battle 2 was predicated on the ground battle 1, but the duel 3 was autonomous, despite the interspersion of all three. Somewhat familiar? The Phantom Menace had 4 separate threads. The Viceroy's capture 3 was predicated on the ground battle 1, which relied on the space battle 2, but the duel 4, though facilitating the Viceroy's capture 3, was autonomous, notwithstanding the coordination of 1 through 4. A pattern with a few details reversed. A generator for a shield and a command center for a droid army, one projecting up, one projecting down. A Death Star and a circular battleship, destroyed from within by snub fighters. Raid the bunker and raid the palace. Ewoks and Gungans, natives, allies, and underdogs. A Jedi against 2 Sith Lords, and a Sith Lord against 2 Jedi. Same results. A devil fell into an abyss, a father bade an emotional farewell, and a student earned a promotion. Did I expand your perception, or had you already noticed the similarities?
Kind of duplicating the Luke Skywalker role, but you see the echo of where it all is going to go. And instead of destroying the Death Star, he destroys the ship that controls the robots. Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
Compliments for the first half. I've praised Lucas's plot twists and competent villains. Episode 6 exemplified these strengths. Jabba the Hutt showed cunning by capturing Leia and Luke. He almost defeated the heroes in spite of their intricate scheme. When confronted with a thermal detonator, he laughed, then calmly negotiated. When faced by Jedi, he rejected demands, then sprung a trap. After 2 films, it was thrilling to encounter and vanquish a different sort of evil. His hedonism, or decadence, provided welcome contrast to the Empire's austerity. Jabba was a first-rate antagonist. I appreciated the hero's ruse that planted Lando, the droids, Leia, and Chewbacca at Jabba's palace. The culmination over the Sarlacc was epic. Intelligent strategies to achieve rational goals, improvisations based on changing circumstances, and secrecy to heighten tension and set up the endgame. Modern writers take notes.
I love it when a plan comes together.
The variety of aliens and droids and the dingy environments combined for an unforgettable experience. Gamorreans, Bib Fortuna, Skiff Guards, Max Rebo, 9D9, Boba Fett, the Rancor. Han's rescue was a triumph of world building, creature effects, suspense, and climax. Criticisms of the first half. Earlier I mentioned lofty ambitions. Lucas couldn't fully realize the Hutt, Rancor, sail barge, and skiffs without a combination of practical and digital effects. Since the latter weren't possible in the early 80s, the finished products left much to be desired. Return of the Jedi's synthesis of models, motion capture, superimposition, and matte paintings, feats of imagination, groundbreaking efforts, didn't fool the eyes like Lucas's previous work. Many action elements weren't credible either. The jetpack, skiff-to-skiff, and sail barge jumps and fight choreography seemed fake. Luke's lightsaber didn't skewer or slice. Some aliens weren't convincing. Boba Fett's end, arguably the worst scene, satisfied no one. Lucas took risks. Several didn't pay off. I'm not retroactively judging Return of the Jedi. I had these perspectives as a child. Forward to Part 2, the Rebels' victory. Good stuff, then bad stuff. Like Jabba, Emperor Palpatine was cunning. One of my tenets is villains make stories. Return of the Jedi featured 3 excellent villains. Initially, Palpatine's physical appearance disappointed me. Darth Vader's master was ancient and frail. How could he have commanded the nearly unstoppable Vader? Subsequently, I saw the disparity between Vader's polished, towering darkness, the devil you know, and Palpatine's hooded, hobbled shabbiness, the devil in disguise. I counted 5 twists in the thread alone. Well played. The duel is one of my favorite scenes in cinema. It is personal, violent, suspenseful, evocative, and ultimately jubilant. Relationships between fathers and sons are complicated. Lucas incorporated his upbringing and struck a universal chord. The space battle, including Palpatine's snare, was a concept that pleased everyone. A ragtag rebel group against the mighty Imperial fleet from The Empire Strikes Back. The thread was an absolute toy fest. Starships and action figures galore. Lucas understood the trilogy's last chapter must exceed all that came before it in magnitude. The Sanctuary Moon also had widespread appeal. Forest combat with new enemies and vehicles, the raid followed by the trap followed by the seesaw battle, more of Lucas's memorable plot twists, and another toy fest. James Earl Jones, Ian McDiarmid, and Harrison Ford brought their A-game. On the other hand, the second Death Star wasn't the finest idea. A different superweapon would have been more compelling. Lucas struggled to render the speeder bikes, dreadnought engagements, super laser, and most importantly, Ewoks. I have no complaints about the Ewoks' design or purpose, but they looked terrible. The technology to realistically create them didn't exist. Glassy eyes, expressionless faces, and furry suits broke the suspension of disbelief. Their casting and costume limitations turned the ground battle into farce at key moments. The Super Star Destroyer's crash into the Death Star was arguably the worst scene, certainly in the running with Boba Fett's accidental fall. Again, I ask, is it fair to judge a movie ahead of its time? I see Lucas's vision, but I see his overestimation as well. It didn't surpass episodes 4 and 5, however, Return of the Jedi is outstanding regardless of its flaws. If the problems mentioned could have been fixed, it would be among the best. What are your thoughts? Do you prefer Han's rescue or the Rebels' victory? Where do you rank Return of the Jedi in the Star Wars saga? Leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. Check out Galactic Initiative for all things Star Wars.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is a registered trademark, and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.